Good morning, Year 3. It's Mr. Brendan here, and I'm going to explain Wednesday's English homework. So today, we are going to be learning how to vary our sentences so that they're more interesting for our readers, and so we can add some extra information as well, which will make our writing that bit better. So I'll talk you through the worksheet, then I'm going to give you some examples, and after that, you can do the work on your own. So the three types of sentences we're going to look at today are simple, compound, and complex. So a simple sentence is something I'm sure you're familiar with. The example they're given us here is, the bus is yellow. So we have the subject, we're talking about the bus, the verb is, and in this case we have an adjective which is yellow as well. Now, in order to give a bit more information and to make it a bit more interesting, we can turn this into a compound sentence. Now, it says here a sentence that's compound has two main clauses, or two main parts, to joined with a connective. Now, we know lots of nice connectives. We know and, then, but, if. But in this case, we're going to use the connective and. So a compound sentence reads, the bus is yellow and the car is blue. Okay, now next we have a complex sentence. This is where it gets a bit tricky. So a complex sentence has a main clause and a subordinate clause. Now don't be scared of those big words, okay? The main clause is just the main idea or the subject. So the bus is yellow. Okay, that's the first bit of information. The subordinate clause is some extra information that only makes sense when added to the first part of the sentence. So let's read it together. The bus is yellow because it was the only colour available. So we've given some more information, it's more interesting, and you can see that the second part, the subordinate clause, doesn't make sense on its own. It was the only colour available. You need that first part, the bus is yellow because it was the only colour available. Don't worry if you're a bit confused. I'm going to do another example with you right now. So here's a simple sentence. Mr. Brendan is cold. So we have the subject. That's me, Mr. Brendan. We have the verb is, to be. So Mr. Brendan is cold. Simple sentence. Now we're going to upgrade that to a compound sentence. So here we've upgraded that simple sentence into a compound sentence. Mr. Brendan is cold and Mr. Bean is wet. So we have clause 1, the first idea or piece of information. Mr. Brendan is cold. We have a connective, and the second clause, or second piece of information, Mr. Bean is wet. So compound sentence, Mr. Brendan is cold and Mr. Bean is wet. So lastly, we have a complex sentence. So we have Mr. Brendan is cold because he fell in the pond. So we have the same main clause, Mr. Brendan is cold, a different connective, this time it's because, and the subordinate clause, which wouldn't make sense without the first part of the sentence, is he fell in the pond. So here is another example of how you can upgrade a simple sentence into either a compound or complex sentence. Okay, now let's look at the work you'll be doing on varying your sentences. So the questions on today's work are, question 1. Find and write a simple sentence from the extract on page 53. That's the page that looks like this, titled Making Characters. So you'll read this extract about Dilly the dinosaur, find a simple sentence, and write it down. For question 2, look at each of the sentences below, read them once or twice, and then you need to write down whether the sentences are complex or compound. And you can use the abbreviation CPX for complex, or COM for compound. Lastly, for question 3, it says use the information in the helpful hints box to help you write A, a simple sentence, B, a compound sentence, and C, a complex sentence. And I would like you to do it in the same way that we did the sentences earlier in the video. So start with a simple sentence, then expand it into a compound sentence, and then make a complex version of that sentence as well. Okay, good luck. I'm looking forward to seeing your work, and I'll see you in the next video.